Focus. Ideate. Innovate. Enable.
Hello and welcome to University of Sydney Business School presents Education Connect in association with CNBC TV18 and News18.com. I'm Sakshi Batra. Well, with COVID-19 pandemic, we are perhaps living the biggest shock to the global education system in modern history, as over 160 countries have mandated some form of closures at educational institutions, with close to 80% of the world's enrolled students facing a massive disruption to education access. While the loss of learning and increased rate of dropouts are some of the near-term concerns, educational institutions worldwide at this time are focused on how to reimagine and rebuild the way higher education is imparted. And not just that, perhaps what is even tougher, to not just how students and teachers and even institutions adapt to this new normal of remote learning, but also to how to prepare students for a complex future of work. Our experts today are from the University of Sydney Business School, who will share with us insights on this transition, the effectiveness of online teaching, and much more. Let me introduce our esteemed panel to all our viewers. Well, we have with us today Professor Joan Shields, Academic Director, International, the University of Sydney Business School. We also have with us Dr. Angela Hecimovic, Lecturer, Discipline of Accounting, the University of Sydney Business School as well. Associate Professor Rachael Hains-Wesson, Director of Work Integrated Learning, the University of Sydney Business School. Swetha Barade, Student, Master of Commerce, the University of Sydney Business School. And we have with us Vamshi Krishna Grandhe, Graduate, Master of Management, the University of Sydney Business School. Welcome, panelists. Appreciate you all joining in on this very special webinar. Well, without much further ado, let me begin with John first. John, it would be pertinent to begin by asking you about how is the University of Sydney Business School adapting to these uncertain times? Help us understand the key challenges, if any.
We teach our students to be adaptive and agile, and we ourselves, as a result of the pandemic, have had to really put that teaching into practice for ourselves. And I'm immensely proud and pleased to say that we have pivoted successfully and in a very short period of time to online delivery of our learning content for the duration of the pandemic restrictions. We've done that very quickly, much more quickly than we had been planning to go down the digital road. But the learnings that we've experienced will be invaluable for us in consolidating what we deliver to our students online and how we do that and how we engage our students in online learning.
Angela, let me come to you next with your opening thoughts. Tell us, how did the business school approach online learning during these COVID-19 times? Also, how do you really engage with students and ensure that learning is both active and also enjoyable?
Absolutely. I have to agree with John's comments there. I think I had 4 days in which to prepare to go online with students. And so I too was faced with the challenge of learning new technology. I had to learn how to use Zoom, which was going to be our tool of communication with students. And so I put my positive mindset on and I thought, how am I going to do this in 4 days? And at the back of my mind, I had in mind the whole time, how are the students going to engage with us on our unit? And the most important thing I think that the business school tried to instill in their approach is to really make sure that the teaching and learning was going to be the best that we could produce in such a short time. So what I did with my unit, in particular with my teaching team, Anthony and Maria, we actually co-taught. So we had 2 teachers at every single Zoom session. And I actually did something extra and involved more technology. We used Socrative, which is another tool where students could actually all tap in individually and contribute to the class by answering questions, engaging into the debate. And I loved doing the breakout sessions in the Zoom groups where we had students still be able to work in groups and then come back and present. So we had a lot of online video content that I produced with my teaching team. And what was really good, I think, here at the business school is we had the business co-design team provide us with videos and manuals of how to use Zoom effectively and how to better engage with students.
Let me go on to one of our students who's present on this panel. Swetha, I'll come to you. Help us understand, just like how your professors, directors of the business school telling us how challenging it was for them initially to adapt to the new softwares, introducing new softwares so that there is no loss of learning.
So my transition to online studies was definitely challenging initially. For example, there was lack of motivation because I was not attending in person, and I also started procrastinating my studies, which I think most of the students will experience. But the university smoothened the entire process by sending out so many follow-up emails. Also, my unit coordinators for my subject, and I think this applies to all other subjects as well, they started setting up so many Zoom calls for workshops, tutorials, and Q&A sessions. Apart from this, I still remember we had like live discussion boards. And on those discussion boards, you get to interact with your peer students and as well as with the teaching staff. And you get to resolve all your doubts on a real-time basis. So I think the unit coordinators had done a really fantastic job on that front. And apart from that, if with all the sudden uncertainty, if this is the good quality that University of Sydney could provide, I'm sure with all the planning, blended learning is going to be even better in the upcoming semesters. So this is what my transition was. It was challenging, but it's been great so far.
All right, challenging, but great so far, great learning as well. Vamshi, let me come to you as well. As we are told that there are a lot of international students at your university, how is the university really supporting international students at these difficult times?
So I've graduated with a Master of Management last year, and my experience with the university has been wonderful. And the support services that you're referring to, they've been supporting me throughout my education and also after my education as well. So obviously there was student center that had a wide range of services, and they were all cafes around it, and it was a very popular spot. So sometimes the queues would be huge, and that's why I think now that it is online, now that the student center is moved online, I think it's much better to get their services as well right now.
Let me come to Rachael next. Rachael, I would want to understand from you, are there any new opportunities that COVID-19 pandemic has actually opened up for students and also for universities?
Interestingly, we've been at the forefront of the corona disruption from the very beginning, and huge amount of opportunities have opened up for us. In terms of the work integrated learning, which really means getting students jobs, getting them work experience and career development learning, we always had opportunities for all our students. But what's happened for us for the corona is that we've extended upon that. So we've got some great initiatives happening in semester 2 for those who want to come and join us, and I hope that you will. We are combining expertise in the one area around careers and employability, and also Will Hub expertise in terms of making sure that we really nurture and prepare and support our students to not only have multiple opportunities and choices that they can choose from that will augment their program, but also are extracurricular and co-curricular. We're going to be working with our award-winning industry partners to do an employability boot camp. This is really exciting because we're at the forefront of work integrated learning and employability at the University of Sydney Business School. And what that means is we're always looking for opportunity, and the corona has definitely provided us opportunity. We're now able to widen the access and participation, so lots more students can take an active role in working with award-winning industry partners to do group projects in a virtual online arena.
Absolutely, that's good to know that out of the pandemic and the crisis situation, also a whole lot of opportunities are arising for universities and students alike, and to incorporate a whole lot of more students who can actually take benefits of all the programs that you're really launching. John, let me come to you next. I want to understand from you, how do you view this new way of online learning and remote learning? Is it the new normal? And do you feel that COVID-19 will perhaps change the way we teach in the long term as well?
Pandemic has actually accelerated our progression towards a greater use of digital learning as an element of our overall value proposition to our students. So as you've heard from Angela and Rachel in particular, and also from Vamshi and Swetha, we are making much greater use of digital content delivery and digital modes of engagement with our learners. Whether or not the digital space is going to be the new normal, I think is yet to be determined. Our university has been proudly a campus-based educator. And as you've heard from Rachel, we've also taken great strides to allow our students the opportunity to undertake what we call work-integrated learning across a range of different learning avenues. I think where we are heading as a school and as a university is towards what I prefer to describe as a blended learning approach, where we combine the best possibilities and the best qualities of on-campus learning, online or digital learning, and on-the-job or work-integrated learning.
Angela, let me come to you next and ask you to also respond to what John also said, add to that, and also share with us some of your experiences. As a teacher, how do you think students can really benefit from this new form of learning?
Absolutely. I do have to say something up front, and that is that I love face-to-face teaching. But on my unit, as with many of my colleagues in the business school, we already have pretty much a blended learning approach. And I think what students really need to realise is that they have more resources, more access, more connections and deeper connections with academics and their peers, regardless of the mode. So I think some of the great benefits that I'm seeing from students is that they are able to troubleshoot through their technical issues. They're even better at listening. And I think Swetha said it well, some students have issues with motivation. And I think in this online mode, we really need to get comfortable and work on our skills in how we're dealing with uncertainty. So I think it's really important that students start to realise that this is a great opportunity to develop your motivation skills, to develop your critical thinking, to develop skills that will help you cope with change that you're not sure of.
Swetha, let me come to you next. So according to you, how has COVID-19 really impacted the student experience, and have you or any of your classmates learned any of these new skills from transitioning to this online learning period?
So COVID has for sure had a great impact on students' experience. Firstly, the biggest challenge is there is no face-to-face learning itself. So, and apart from that, a lot of group projects were converted into individual assignments, keeping in mind the students' convenience and security and safety. Also, in our university, there are numerous study spaces, but we couldn't actually utilize them. And there were so many events that happen at the university campus as part of our clubs or societies. So all this had to be transitioned into an online mode. But what's the really good part is all the services and support that the university had provided to us in the previous semesters, everything was transitioned to online mode. There was absolutely nothing that was missed out. So I think that's the positive aspect about it. And with regards to skills, that anything that we've learned, definitely, because we start equipping ourselves with our time management skills, you start multitasking. For example, like personal opinion is that I started really developing my self-motivation, because one tip that really helped me was when I started attending my online classes. I started attending as and when they were supposed to be scheduled. So I was on track and had a very neat timetable, and I did not procrastinate anymore. Apart from this, if not for any of the skills, I think all of us definitely learned to cook. So I think that's been really helpful to all of us. And it's been very challenging, but it's a very great experience because you get to learn so much and equip yourself with the skills that probably you wouldn't have done otherwise.
Vamshi, let me come to you next. I want to know from you so that you can share with us your experience for aspiring students, especially watching this discussion. Do share with us your campus experience with social distancing and how are students interacting in this new normal. I want to understand because COVID-19 is here to stay. It's not going away from our lives anytime soon, unfortunately. And social distancing will have to be inbuilt or ingrained in our everyday practice for a long time to come. So if you could help us with that.
So I graduated last year, and I was studying there with mixed events, both online and face to face. As John mentioned, it was already there was a lot of incorporation of online into our face to face mode of teaching, and there were virtual groups where everything were organized. For instance, with my experience with a club that I was involved in, so I was interested in consulting and making social impact. And I had the opportunity to work on projects through 180 Degrees Consulting at the university. And being a part of that executive team, we organized several events and recruited student consultants for pro bono consulting. And one of the projects I was actually involved with was with the UNHCR Youth Advisory. And our team pretty much did most of the work online. And we had virtual calls. Our client was in a different place, so we had to do frequent calls with the client. And I mean, social distancing or not, it has been the same for us because the workplace demands for us to be agile in adapting to a virtual workplace as well.
Rachel, employability, the biggest concern. So if you could help us understand what has been the impact of COVID-19 on work experience opportunities at the business school.
Yeah, definitely. There's been a huge impact, but again, I see it as being positive, but not to take away the fact that, yes, students and everyone globally is quite concerned about the future of employability. Keeping that in mind, what we want to do with our students is we want to make sure that they're pandemic proof ready for jobs, that we really think about what a career is and not just a job. So career for us is life, it's lifelong. And we want to be able to prepare and support students along that journey, and that's what we do at the business school.
Angela, I'd like to bring you in at this point in time. We've been talking about preparing the students for future work prospects. In a situation like this, how does one really stay engaged with the industry amid the lockdown?
For me, it's been quite exciting. I've actually been researching with Big Four and large professional accounting firms, and I have managed to conduct a number of interviews. I did an interview last month with a Big Four audit partner, and my research is looking at artificial intelligence and data analytics and how it's impacting the audit profession, what this means for graduates of the future. And I tell you what, it was pretty exciting interviewing a partner in his house because his family walked past the camera, and it just made partner human. So I thought that was really fantastic.
I'd request now all of you to just take 15 to 20 seconds each and share with us your closing remarks before we have to wind up this webinar. We're completely running out of time now. Rachel, let me begin with you.
Basically, I just want to say thank you for having me. Great that everyone was able to take part. I've been especially happy to be able to share the Work Integrated Learning and the Career Employability Office initiatives that we're doing for semester 2 and beyond. And we do see Corona as, yes, it is disruptive, but it's also an opportunity to be highly innovative. And if you come to us at the business school, that's exactly what you'll get.
Thank you. Angela?
I just want to say challenges like this really help us grow as human beings. So it's really important to get out of your comfort zone, get comfortable with uncertainty, and develop your resilience. Bring out some good skills in yourself to handle the uncertainties we're facing. And I think at the University of Sydney, you'll be comforted by great teachers and great student peers. So come and join us. Hope to see you next semester.
Yeah, thanks for having me, actually. And it was actually an honor to be sharing the panel with these academics who are stalwarts at the business school. And my closing thoughts would again reiterate what Angela said. So we need to be coming out of our comfort zone, and that is what exactly COVID has done at this point. And it has resulted in tremendous upskilling of individuals. And again, as the saying goes, necessity is the mother of all invention, right? So this has given a direction for everybody to upskill and do new things or things differently. And that is a big positive out of all of this situation.
Brilliant thought, Vamshi. John, for your closing comments.
Thank you also for allowing us this opportunity to reach out to our friends in India. The Australian higher education sector is absolutely experienced in working with students from a range of international countries, and we're also a proudly multicultural society, and certainly our campus is proudly multicultural in its nature. So we are a safe and happy and welcoming place for you to come to study with us. But don't believe me. Remember what you've just seen. You've seen two superb young students. You've seen two of my wonderful colleagues speak from the heart and the head about their experiences as members of our learning community. And I'm absolutely proud of the fact that I can call them colleagues and members of our learning community. And I think they're a fantastic way to essentially promote our school is by listening to our colleagues and listening to our students. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much, panelists, for sharing your thoughts, ideas, and insights on the way ahead for us. While these are unprecedented times, the higher education sector has actually withstood turbulent economic times in the past, and it will withstand them again. And in today's digital age, universities and colleges are definitely better placed today more than ever to provide students with access to continue their studies even remotely. We all hope that all of us will actually overcome this crisis and come out stronger and better on the other side. Many thanks for tuning in.
Focus. Ideate. Innovate. Enable.